Hello friends, welcome to the lecture of heat transfer. In the last lecture we have seen Fourier's law, how to apply the Fourier's law. Then we have seen the thermal conductivity, what is the coefficient of thermal conductivity and how does that coefficient of thermal conductivity changes with respect to the different material. In this lecture we are going to discuss one more mode of heat transfer, that is convection. So let us begin. Now in earlier case we have seen what is conduction, how does the conduction takes place. Due to the conduction the heat transfer takes place from one end of the solid material to another end. Either it is by the motion of the free electron carries the heat along with them and reaches to the another end. And in another case this is due to the molecular vibration, the collision of the molecules of the solid. One molecule collide with the adjacent and the next molecule will collide with the next molecule, and in that way the energy possessed by one molecule at one end, whichever is get heated, is transmitted to the due to the molecular collision of the matter. So these are two different ways in which the conduction takes place. Now in convection what happens, in a case if I take down a hot surface, any hot surface like this, say this is a hot body, any metallic block which is maintained say at higher temperature, say about 100 degrees Celsius, and the surrounding air which is at room temperature, say it is at 20 degrees Celsius. So what happens, as see there is the surrounding to this block there is air molecule, here there will be air molecules, plenty of air molecules will be present, and that too that air molecules are in motion, they are continuously moving here and there in zigzag way, continuously they are colliding with one another as well as they are colliding with this solid surface. Now whatever the air molecules which are present very close to the solid surface, they will be colliding with the solid surface. For example, this molecule while going in this direction will collide with this surface at this point and will bounce up back and go in this direction. Now while the molecule is coming with certain velocity, I am talking about one particular molecule, so he will collide with this surface, while coming he will have certain velocity, but once it bounces up back due to the collision he will gain somewhat energy. That gain of energy is from the solid. The molecules of the solid which are at the outer surface, they are also continuously vibrating, and this vibrating molecule when collide with the outside air molecule, that air molecule will gain somewhat velocity from this colliding molecule, and there will be the gain in the energy of this molecule. Gain in the energy in the sense what? The gain in the internal energy of this molecule, and the energy of this block, some fraction of this energy of this block is carried away by this molecule, right? I am showing this arrow far away, but actually the motion is that motion is taking place at very close to that surface, that is in the range of few microns. So once the the air molecules gain some velocity, they gain some energy from the solid surface, the air molecules in this much region which is very small in width will become hot, will be more in temperature, and as the temperature of these gases increases to certain value, their density reduces. As the density decreases, they will experience a buoyant force. Obviously the buoyant force was there over here also, but there was no difference between the density of this region of the air to the density of this region of the air. So the buoyant force and the weight of the fluid element, that air molecule, will be the same, but here the buoyant force will be more than that of the weight, and that's why the air molecules over here will start to move up by its own, and as the air is going up, the adjacent dense air will start to come and will try to occupy that region, and in this way the motion of air will start by its own. No one is moving that air in upward direction. The air comes in contact with the solid surface, it absorbs the heat energy, or say the energy from the solid block which is at higher temperature than that of the air, and after absorbing the heat energy it will become light. As it becomes light, it will start to move up. As it is moving up and up, the adjacent dense air will come at that place to occupy that space, and continuously the air, now even in this case also at the top layer the air molecules will start to move up the air molecules which are get heated, they will start to move up, and the adjacent dense air will come over there and will occupy this much space. Now the heat is get transferred from this metallic block to the air molecule into this much region is by the conduction. Since why conduction? Since this molecule, now if I show this part over here separately, this is the solid surface. This molecule, this is the molecule of the solid, and whatever the molecules which are coming, the molecule of the fluid, now it can be the air, it can be any gas, it can be liquid also. So this is the liquid molecule and this is the solid molecule. So while they are coming in contact with each other, this liquid or say whatever the fluid molecule is coming close to the solid molecule and gaining some energy from it. So that is the transfer of the energy that is due to the actual physical contact of the molecule, and hence we can say it has the conduction. It is the conduction. So the heat transfer that is taking place in between the solid molecule to the fluid molecule due to the physical contact, that is by conduction, and that conduction is taking place only within that much smaller layer of the fluid molecule. But after conducting the heat to the liquid or so the fluid molecules, the fluid will become light, and it will start to move up, and as it is moving up, naturally there will be the circulation of the air or so the fluid will start to take place over there, and the heat from this block is transferred to the air over here, or so that air is get lifted up and up, and in that way the heat of the block is transferred to the surrounding fluid. Now in this case we have taken the object is at higher temperature and the fluid is at lower temperature. In a case if we take down it in reverse way, the object is at lower temperature and the fluid at higher temperature, then the fluid will come close to it, will reject the heat to the solid get heated, the air after the fluid molecule after rejecting the heat to the solid block, they will become dense and starts to move down. So in that case the motion of the air, that fluid molecule will be different, right? So this is what the convection is. Now in convection what happens, the molecules goes close to the object whose heat is to be transferred, or say in a specific example, if I take down the solid surface to be at higher temperature and the fluid which is at lower temperature, then the fluid molecule goes close to the solid surface, goes in actual physical contact, will absorb the energy from the solid surface and will comes away from it, and like that there is a continuously circulation of the fluid takes place, and in that way whatever the heat is get transferred, that transferred heat we say it as the convection. So this is what the basic concept of the convective mode of heat transfer. Now there are a lot of real life example in day to day life, thousands of real life examples, not thousand, far greater than that. So a typical example I would like to show you. If I take down a vessel and take some water into it, and if I put it into a gas, while you are heating water, milk, tea at your home, what happens is this is the level of the liquid over here at the beginning. The moment when you start up the gas, the heat source, the molecules of water in contact with the vessel and that at the bottom will be get heated, will become light, and as they become light they will start to move up, These molecules, if I show some thickness of this vessel, this is what the thickness of the vessel. The heat is transferred from the burning flames over here to this solid surface, and from this solid surface the heat is transferred to the liquid molecules of water over here, and these molecules once get heated will become light and will start to move up, and the dense molecule which are not get heated yet, which are dense enough, will start to come down. And that is the reason you might have seen, you can observe this phenomena, physical phenomena, actually it is happening into the vessel. The heated liquid is coming at the top from the bottom at the center, and the liquid which is dense will start to go down from the lateral side, or say the closer to the lateral surface of the vessel. Now in this case also the heat is get transferred from the vessel to the liquid, that is by the convective mode of heat transfer. And like that there are many examples. If you take down any hot metallic plate, say a metallic plate hot enough, if you keep it as it is into the surrounding, so after some time it will get cooled down and will come to the room temperature. Why it is so? It will transfer its heat to the surrounding air, and as it is transferring the heat to the air will become light, will goes up, and so on. Even if you take down a cold object, if I take down a cold, chilled, even the ice cream, if you take it out from the freezer and keep it as it is into the atmospheric air, considering air at a higher temperature than that of the ice cream, then the air will come in contact with the ice cream cup, also the actual ice cream will absorb the heat, reject the heat to it, will become dense and will start to goes down, and in that way continuously the heat will be transferred to that ice cream, also the ice cube. So like that there are a lot of examples of convective mode of heat transfer. Now let's talk about one more thing, one more phenomena in heat transfer. Say if I take down a solid surface, say this is the solid surface, and I will say the temperature of this solid surface is say TW. TW is the temperature of this solid wall over here. TW is the temperature of this solid wall, and the surrounding room temperature is, say it is TO. TO is the atmospheric temperature. Now if you observe the air molecules over here, considering the fluid over here to be air, I am going to take down it as air. The fluid over here will get heated and will start to move up. The temperature of air which is in contact with this solid is not equal to the temperature of the air. For example, if I take down this to be at 20 degrees Celsius and the temperature of wall to be at 100 degrees Celsius, these values I am taking down just for your understanding so that it will be easy for you to understand it. If you check out the distribution of temperature, if I take down this as the y-axis and if I take down this as the x-axis, and on the x-axis if I take down the distance in terms of some mm or say micron. Now here the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius, I have marked that temperature at 100 degrees Celsius on the y-axis. If you go a little towards the right side along the x-axis, you will observe that the temperature of the air molecule over here is not exactly equal to 20 degrees Celsius, but as the air is in contact with the solid wall which is at higher temperature 100 degrees Celsius, the temperature of air will be little less than that of 100, so maybe 90, 80, something like that. And if you go away and away from this wall, you will observe the temperature is decreasing, and somewhere over here the temperature will be about 20 degrees Celsius. If I show you the 20 degrees Celsius mark over here, so this is 20 degrees Celsius mark. So the temperature is continuously decreasing somewhere over here, and here onwards it is constant. If I say just for time being, consider the variation of temperature with respect to this distance is linear. Actually it is not so, but consider it is so. So in that case here onwards the temperature is almost constant. So this is equal to TO is equal to 20 degrees Celsius. Now if I check out up to what distance that temperature distribution is there, or so the temperature gradient is there, I will get such a thickness. I mean for this solid surface, this will be the thickness. Now within this much layer of the fluid, there is a temperature distribution, also temperature variation or temperature gradient in that direction. Here the temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. If I go in the x direction, the temperature is decreasing. Somewhere over here it is close to 20, and below, above that distance the temperature is almost constant, and that is equal to the atmospheric air, temperature of atmospheric air. So the region up to where the temperature variation is there, I am going to say it as it's delta. The delta, and that delta is known as the film thickness. That is known as what? The film thickness. More is the film thickness, it will be difficult for this object to transfer the heat to the surrounding air. Less is the film thickness, it will be easier for this object to transfer the heat to the surrounding air. It depends upon it depends also upon the thermal conductivity of this fluid. Let's say Kf is the thermal conductivity of the fluid. Then actually this we are going to define one more term, that is the coefficient of convective heat transfer. So the heat transfer mainly depends upon this coefficient of thermal conductivity of this fluid, as well as the depletion layer, or sorry, not depletion layer, the boundary layer thickness, or say the film thickness of the fluid which is nearby the solid surface, and the thickness of that film is decided by the temperature distribution. Wherever there is a temperature gradient, up to there the film thickness is. So this is all about the film thickness. Now I am going to define one term, that is the coefficient of convective heat transfer. We are going to define the term of convective heat transfer. Let us see what is this coefficient of convective heat transfer. It is represented by the letter H, small h. Now, if you know, I had just drawn the figure, same figure over here. Say this is the solid surface, this is any solid surface where the temperature of the solid surface is, let's say it is TW, and the temperature of air, let's say TO is equal to, say it is 20 degrees Celsius. This is just I have taken for example. This TW is equal to 100 degrees Celsius. And if I check out to what region this temperature gradient exists, so it exists over here. It's over here. So here onwards it is TO, right? Now this is what the film thickness. This is delta. That is known about the film thickness or say the boundary layer thickness. And if I take down the term K stands for the coefficient of thermal conductivity and F stands for fluid. So Kf is, I'd like to define it over here. Kf is coefficient of conductivity of fluid. Coefficient of thermal conductivity of the fluid, and delta, we know what is this delta. The term delta is nothing but what? The film thickness. The film thickness. Now we are going to define the term coefficient of convective heat transfer, and it is defined as, this term H is defined as, it is the ratio of the thermal conductivity of the fluid to the film thickness delta. It's as easy as this. It is the ratio of the thermal conductivity of the fluid which is there in contact with the solid surface to the boundary layer thickness or say the film thickness. Now from this, we know, we have studied this term K, the coefficient of thermal conductivity, and its SI unit is watt per meter per Kelvin, whereas this film thickness will have the SI unit as meter, so it will be divided by the meter. So finally the SI unit of this will be watt per meter square per Kelvin. Now this is what the SI unit of the coefficient of convective heat transfer, and just from the unit you must be able to predict about the dimensions. What should be the dimensions of that? I think this is the unit of power, so I would like to write down the dimensions of power. Dimensions of power will be M1 L2 T minus 3 are the dimensions of power divided by its meter square. It means it is L2, and it's the Kelvin means it's the temperature, so it is K1, it's capital K. So its dimensions will be L2 will be get cancelled, so its dimensions will be M1 L0, since it's L2 over here, T minus 3 as it is, and K to the power minus 1. So these are what the dimensions of what? The coefficient of convective heat transfer H. Now what is the role of this convective heat transfer coefficient H, small h, that we will see in the next topic, that is the Newton's law of cooling. So wherever there is a convective heat transfer, you will find the term H over there, this small h over there, and it plays a very important role. By the way, this H is the function of many parameters. H is the function of, obviously it is a function of the thermal conductivity of the fluid. It is the function of delta. Delta is what? The film thickness. It is the function of the density of the fluid. It is the function of the velocity of the fluid. It is the function of the Reynolds number of the fluid flow. It is the function of the mu, the coefficient of viscosity of the fluid, and many more parameters. On many more parameters, this value of H depends. That value of H also varies from fluid to fluid. So this is all about the convection and the coefficient of convective heat transfer. Now we are going to see one of the most fundamental law of nature, and that is related to convective heat transfer. And as usual, the founder of that law, is Sir Isaac Newton, and we say that law as Newton's law of cooling. Newton's law of cooling. Now let us see what is this Newton's law of cooling is. Now if we take down any object, say this is the object, at higher temperature, say the temperature of this object over here is, say here it is TW, this is any object, solid object whose temperature is TW, and the temperature distribution like this, and here the temperature of atmosphere is T0, and this is say the film thickness, something like this. If I take down the condition TW is more than T0, obviously the heat will get transferred from this hot body to the surrounding air, no doubt about that. Then at what rate, if I talk about the rate of heat transfer with respect to time, at what rate does the heat from this object is get transferred to the surrounding fluid? And that rate is given by Sir Isaac Newton, and it says that the rate of heat transfer, that is dq by dt, that's what the rate of transfer of heat energy to the surrounding with respect to time. Let us say it as q dot, the rate of heat transfer is directly proportional to the surface area which is normal to the direction of flow of heat, obviously it will be the total surface area, and the temperature difference of that body to the surrounding fluid. So temperature difference of this body and the surrounding fluid will be TW minus TO. This is TW minus TO, provided that this temperature difference has to be very small. This is what the limit, condition given by Newton. This temperature difference has to be very small. If this temperature difference is large enough, then this law is not, that much applicable. But if we take down that temperature difference to be very small, then this law is very perfectly applicable. So let us take down this equation into another form. Now if I remove this proportionality sign, what I will get is, I will get this q dot as equals to, I need to bring a constant over here, proportionality constant, and that constant is H into A into, this is say TW minus TO. So what is this term H? The term H is known as, we have just seen that term H. What is that term H? The term H, I would like to write it over here. Term H is, it is the coefficient of convective heat transfer. Convective heat transfer. Coefficient of convective heat transfer. I would like to rewrite this equation over here. That is q dot is equals to, it is HA into, this is TW minus TO. This is what the statement of Newton's law of cooling. But with this, we can get one more statement for Newton's law of cooling, that is in different way by using the same equation. How it is? If we take down, see, heat, as the heat is get transferred from this hot object to the surrounding fluid, as there is a flow of heat with respect to time, obviously the temperature of this block itself will start to decrease, right? Now if I check out how much is the decrease in temperature, or say the rate of decrease in temperature of this body, and if I relate it to the temperature difference of this body and the surrounding fluid, then it will be, first of all, I would like to take down the Q. What is this Q? Q is the heat transfer, or say the heat possessed by this solid object. I will say this as equals to mass of the object into the specific weight, specific heat of the object into whatever the temperature. Let us say this temperature as, say, the temperature theta. since this temperature is different, this T is what? TW is the temperature of the body and TO is the temperature of the surrounding fluid, and that temperature difference we are taking down. This TW minus TO is the temperature difference between the solid and the fluid. But theta, I am going to take down this as the temperature of the solid body, and maybe theta 1 and theta 2 will be the two different temperature of the solid body itself, not of the fluid. So if I take down Q as the heat or so the internal energy possessed by this body, then it is equal to dm into Cp. Cp is what? The specific heat of the object, and theta is what? The temperature of this solid object. So if I check out the rate of transfer of heat, then I need to differentiate this equation, and it will be dq by dt as equals to m and Cp are, if I consider m and Cp to be constant with respect to time, and there is no reason to change that with respect to time, but theta is going to change, and that's why it is d theta by dt, right? I'm having this equation dq by dt. What does it mean, dq by dt? Dq by dt is the rate of transfer of heat energy with respect to time, and we have already labeled it as q dot, that is heat transfer rate. Now if I put down this value of q dot into this equation, since that is also the equation of rate of transfer of heat, so I can write down this as q dot as equals to, this is basically dq by dt, and that is equals to, this is mCp into d theta by dt. Remember that this theta is the temperature of this body, and d theta by dt is the rate of change of temperature of this body with respect to time, and this mCp d theta by dt is equals to, this is h into a into, I will say this as Tw minus T naught. So let us reshuffle this equation. So I would like to write down d theta by dt as equals to, if I take down m and Cp over that side, I will get this equation as HA divided by m into Cp into the temperature difference between the wall and the surrounding air, and I think this entire term is being constant. So HA, if I take down HA and mCp as all are constant, then I can write down one more equation, and that is, it's over here. I can write down this as d theta by dt is proportional to Tw minus To. So I have two equations, two different statements for the Newton's law of cooling. One of the statement is over here, that is dq by dt. I would like to write down both the statements. dq by dt is proportional to area normal to the flow of heat, or say I can say it as a roughly surface area, and the temperature difference between the body and the surrounding fluid. This is one of the statement of Newton's law of cooling. And in one more way we can define the Newton's law of cooling, that is by this way. What is this? This is d theta by dt is proportional to, if I take down this a also out of this constant, and if I make it as variable, so it is proportional to a into Tw minus T naught. So this is one more statement of Newton's law of cooling. So Newton's law of cooling can be defined in two different ways. One of the way is the rate of transfer of heat from a solid object to the surrounding fluid is directly proportional to the area, surface area, and the temperature difference between the body and the surrounding fluid. This is one statement, and the second statement is the rate of decrease of temperature or the rate of change of temperature of a body due to the convective heat transfer is directly proportional to the surface area and the temperature difference of that body with the surrounding, provided that this temperature difference has to be small enough, right? So this is all about the Newton's law of cooling. Newton's law of cooling plays a very important role in convective mode of heat transfer. In convective mode of heat transfer, wherever there is convective mode of heat transfer, Newton's law of cooling is applicable over there. And most of the heat transfer in day-to-day life takes place due to the convection. For example, now I am standing over here, my body may be at 36, 37 degrees Celsius temperature, surrounding air may be at 20-25 degrees Celsius. So continuously my body is rejecting the heat to the surrounding, and the surrounding air is absorbing the heat from my body. It is becoming light and it will start to move up. And if you observe, if you take down any human body or say any hot object into the fluid, surrounding fluid, there is a continuously transfer of heat taking place from the hot body to the surrounding body. If I take down, say, even if I take down a hot dish, any hot dish, say for example any food material, and that's hot enough, so that if you keep it as it is for some time, if you take down a cup of tea and if you keep it as it is onto the table without taking it, so after some time eventually it will get cooled down. That cooling down is due to the convective mode of heat transfer that is taking place from that hot cup to the surrounding air. If you take down any cold object also, for example ice cube, if you put down that ice cube as it is onto the table, after some time it will melt down. Why? Since it will absorb the heat from the surrounding air, and that absorption of the heat from the surrounding air is by the convective mode of heat transfer. And like that there are many examples. Even if you take down a small piece of any food atom, and if it is hot enough so that you are not able to eat it, in that case you blow up the air over it. Select, you blow up the air over it. Why it is so? Since once you blow up the air, the convective mode of heat transfer is getting enhanced. I forgot to mention about that rather I should explain it now. In just before a few minutes we discussed about the term H, small h, that is coefficient of convective heat transfer, and value of H depends upon many parameters. I will show you what is that. This we know the Newton's law of cooling, Q dot is equals to, it is HA into TW minus TO, and we have also seen H, small h, is the ratio of the thermal conductivity of the fluid to the film thickness, also the boundary layer thickness. Now if I take down a solid surface, this is the solid surface, and say this is the boundary layer thickness, also the film thickness, then the temperature distribution over here is TW to T0 is like this, and this is what the thickness of the boundary layer is. Say this is the term delta. The thermal conductivity of this film is, so the fluid is Kf, and we have taken H as a ratio of Kf to delta. Now see, naturally the air will keep on moving like this, but if we forcefully blow the air over its surface, the blowing air will reduces the boundary layer thickness. So instead of this layer, there will be a new layer somewhere over here, and you can see that earlier due to the natural convection the boundary layer thickness was this much. Due to the force the air velocity is getting increased, the boundary layer thickness will reduces. As this delta is get reduced, H will increase. What is this H? If delta is get reduced, the boundary layer thickness, also the thickness of the film is get reduced, the convective heat transfer coefficient will increase, and as this H increases, Q dot also increases. That is what the heat transfer rate will also increase. That is the reason if you take down any select a piece of Manchurian which is hot enough and I am unable to eat it, otherwise it is going to burn out my mouth. So in that case, instead of holding it for some time, about a minute, then it is get cooled down. But instead of that, if I blow up some air like this from my mouth, I am forcing the air to blow over it. So as the air is blowing, see this is a piece of Manchurian over here. So the boundary layer thickness may be something like this surrounding to it. Okay. Once I blow up the air, if I blow up the air from my mouth, so what will happen? The boundary layer thickness, or say the film thickness, will get reduced. You can see earlier the thickness was this much, in the next case thickness is this much. So as this boundary layer thickness is get reduced, this is get reduced, H will increase, and H, what is that H? It is the coefficient of convective heat transfer is get increased. The heat transfer rate will increase. The rate at which the heat is get transferred from this Manchurian to the surrounding air, that will increase, and the Manchurian will cool down faster. More is the heat transfer rate, more is the temperature drop rate, and as this temperature is get dropped down, so I can eat it easily. So like that there are many examples, thousands of examples in real life. Everywhere you will get the relevance of these equations to these problems. So this is all about the convection. And that is the reason wherever you need to transfer the heat at faster rate, we implement forced convection. I forgot to tell you about the natural convection and the forced convection. The same topic, and in that one subtitle is, one is natural convection. Now what is this natural convection? If I take down a body, just I have given you an example of a Manchurian, hot enough Manchurian, which is so hot to eat it directly. If I take down that Manchurian, or say take down another example, Manchurian is over now. In a case, I am not getting any example. Okay. Take down any food atom instead of that. Okay, let's take down a case of a human body. A human body standing over here into a room. What happens? Continuously the heat is get transferred to the surrounding. It is queued out. Okay. Now one person coming from outside and just sat into the room, and his body is continuously transmitting the heat to the surrounding air. But this transfer of heat is taking place, if I show you the lateral surface of the human body. This is the lateral view, the lateral side view of the human body, and as his body is continuously rejecting the heat to the surrounding, in what way? The air molecules which are coming in contact with the human body, they will become light and they will start to move up, and this motion of the air is happening, or say it's occurring naturally. There is no one force who is moving that air in upward direction. The air which is coming in contact with the human body will absorb the heat from the human body, will become light and will start to move up and up, and in that way the heat is get transferred. Now this circulation of the air, the dense air nearby it will come and will occupy the space nearby the human body, and continuously there is a circulation of air. Now this circulation of air is taking place naturally, and that's why whatever the heat transfer taking place due to convection, that heat transfer we say it as the natural convection. The natural convection, right? But instead, if we want to increase the heat transfer rate, what we can do is we can forcefully blow the air over that body with the aid of some fan or blower, and as we increase the speed of the air, you know what happens? If we increase the speed of the air, the boundary layer thickness will decrease. As the boundary layer thickness is get decreased, h, that is small h, which is the coefficient of convective heat transfer, that will increase, and as that small h is getting increased, heat transfer rate will increase, this heat transfer rate will increase, and that transfer of heat due to convection we say it as the forced convection. Forced convection, right? And another example of that is if I bring that man to another position where there is a blow of air over his body. So if I feed a fan nearby him, and the fan is blowing some air over his body, so obviously as the air is blowing over his body, so he will feel a little more comfortable. Why it is so? Since when his body want to transfer some heat to the surrounding, but it is not at that expected rate, then we can fit a fan, or say if we can keep him in front of a fan so that the fan can blow up the air over his body, as the air blows, and that too forcefully we are blowing the air over his body, and as the air is moving nearby his body, what will happen? The boundary layer thickness will decrease, and it is getting decreased, H will increase. If H is getting increased, the rate at which the heat is get transferred from this body to the surrounding, so that Q2, let us say Q1 and Q2, in this case obviously Q2 will be more than Q1. So heat transfer is more in case of the forced convection, right? And that is the reason at many places we keep fans to blow up the air. For example, we attach a fan behind the radiator to blow up or say, suck the air from it, so that due to the motion of the air, high speed air, the heat transfer from the radiator to the surrounding air will be more. We fit fans to the compressors also. Compressor के लिए भी हम fans use करते हैं, and in many cases we move the fluid at little more speed with the aid of, in a case if it is air or in any gas, then fan or blower. In case of liquids, it is the pump. Even in case of the radiator, the cooling system of the engine, pump is fitted so as to circulate the coolant continuously by force, not by convection. Convective mode of heat transfer, that to the natural convection, it will take down a lot of time. But instead, if we force that fluid to flow with some external agent like a pump, then it will enhance the heat transfer rate. So this is all about the convective mode of heat transfer. So I think for today's lecture we should stop over here. In next lecture we will start up the radiative mode of heat transfer. We will see what is whenever any radiations falls onto a surface, how the energy is get dissipated. Some part is absorbed, some part is transmitted, some part is reflected. Then we will see how does a body emit out the radiation by its own due to the virtue of the temperature, and the Stefan-Boltzmann's law, that we will see in the next lecture. So thank you for today. See you in the next lecture. Bye.